Thanks for downloading another segment from the Best of the Classic Metal Show. The Classic Metal Show is heard live on Saturdays from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern, exclusively at www.theclassicmetalshow.com. And now here's another piece of Classic Metal Show history on the Best of the Classic Metal Show.
The Classic Metal Show.
That's Judas Priest right here on the Classic Metal Show. That is the Sentinel, probably my favorite all-time Priest classic. And Chris, do you believe it? On the phone with us again, we have the metal god himself for the second time here on the Classic Metal Show, the one and only Rob Halford. Welcome back to the Classic Metal Show there, Rob.
Hey, fellas, it's good to speak with you guys again.
Well, thanks, Rob. You know what? Chris and I were very excited about having you on the show tonight again, and you know what? Having a legend such as yourself on the show just endorses the Classic Metal Show. We've only been doing this for a mere 14 years. But, you know, having a legend on the show like yourself, I feel like this is my first day on the job.
Well, I think we're all in good company because, you know, I've been making metal now for 3 decades, over 30 years. And, you know, the fact that you guys have been making it for 14 is another, you know, affirmation of how much we love our metal and how passionate we are about it. And thank you for playing the Sentinel, because I'm racking my brain trying to think of what songs to do on the next Priest tour, because we're trying to put the set list together, and I don't know, maybe we'll do the Sentinel again. That's a great track. I haven't heard that in a while.
I love it, and that's my favorite track. Anytime I think of Priest, I flip on the Sentinel, and I'm just ready to rock.
It's got a lot of atmosphere, hasn't it? And it's a great story about this creature, whatever you want to call him, going around the city late at night with all the smoke and the steam and everything. You know, it's that's part of the legacy of Priest, is creating these characters like the Sentinel or the Ripper or the Nightcrawler or the Painkiller. You know, we've got a bunch of those people, and it's all good stuff.
Right on, Rob. Well, Rob, obviously, you know, you're hard at work with Judas Priest, you know, in the background, but at the foreground right now is, you know, a ton of new, I guess not new material, but newly mixed and newly mastered material from both Fight and Halford. Why don't you maybe catch us up with all the different things that you have coming, because there's quite a bit of stuff.
Well, Chris, the last time I spoke to you guys, I think it was around the release of Metal God Essentials Volume 1.
Right.
We had a great talk about that, and really this is just a continuation. After Metal God Essentials Volume 1, we just went through recently a release phase of some of the Fight stuff with the movie and the K5 demos. So we're just going into the next couple of moments. We're about to bring out a box set of Fight stuff, which is really cool, because it's just a little bit more of an in-depth look at some of the things that Fight did, especially a really cool DVD, a live performance that we did at a little club in Phoenix. I think it was one of the first shows we ever did. And it's a really fierce, tiny, in-your-face type of club, you know. And so that's in the box set. We're calling the box set Into the Pit, which is one of the title tracks from War of Words. So we got that, and we got Small Deadly Space has finally had a moment to resurface in this box set. And the Mutations mixes that Ati Bau did for us in Amsterdam. That particular release went out of print. So, yeah, we've got this Into the Pit box set on the way sometime in May. And then a bit later on in the year, we're bringing out that Rock in Rio DVD that we've been working on for months. It's finally finished now. That's coming out from the Halford band when we played Rock in Rio in 2000 and something or other. And after that we got Halford Live Insurrection, which is the double live CD. But we're doing that on Blu-ray, which as you know is going to be the next big format change. We've got Blu-ray all over the place now on DVD, and that's slowly making a strong presence into high-def audio. So, yeah, there's more stuff coming, you know, almost immediately and then a little bit later on in the year. And besides that, of course, we've got Nostradamus about to be unleashed as well.
Wow, definitely a busy time for you. Now, Rob, I want to focus in specifically on the Rock in Rio 3, and I have to tell you a secret. Don't tell anybody, but I kind of already had the bootlegs of this for years.
Oh, so did I. Well, here's the deal. What you're going to see is, what was his name? Robert Menendez? Whoever the main guy is that does Rock in Rio is a really cool guy. And he said to me, you know, we'll broadcast the show live like they do in Brazil.
Right.
He said, and then give me a couple of 3 years and I will give you the full show with all the camera shots. And you can do what you want with it. And I thought, man, you know, how cool is that? So that's what we've got. So I think whatever bootleg DVDs are floating around, maybe from they're either from handhelds in the crowd or they're from the TV show. But the one that we've got is a combination of all of the footage. We have tons and tons of you know, cameras there, legit cameras, and
sure.
we've just re-edited the footage from the show. But it looks sensational. I don't know whether you saw the Silent Screams thing that's was until recently streaming on robhalford.com. That just gives you a little bit of a taste of the whole night. But when you actually get the full set list, you know, and see those cameras swing round and you see 250,000 South American metalheads, it's just an unbelievable sight. And it's just a great bit of metal magic that we're now able to let the world have a look at.
Sure, and one of the things that I don't think enough people, especially here in the States, realize, Rob, was that, you know, everybody that considers them a metalhead, you know, throughout the last 25 years has at least one Judas Priest show under their belt. That's pretty much a given. But a lot of people didn't get the chance to see Halford, you know, for various reasons. You guys didn't tour a whole lot in the States, and obviously the band wasn't around, you know, as long. But man, the Halford experience, that was a different animal than anything you had ever done, man. It was an amazing live set.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope that, you know, when people get a look at this live DVD performance, for those fans that have seen the Halford band already, they'll get a chance to see the band in a really unique setting on that enormous stage, you know, with all that vast crowd of metalheads. But it's also just keeping the essence of that band alive. I was just up in Burbank the other day hanging out with the guys. You know, we just got together to have a bit of a noodle, as we say, with music. And you know, it's a strong experience, and at some point in the future, as I think we talked last time around Metal God Essentials Volume 1, which had 2 new Halford tracks, Forgotten Generation and Dropout, it just sends a message that the band is still alive, you know. I mean, everybody's doing different projects at the moment, but at some point in the future, we will return and we'll bring another release out.
Well, Rob, I saw the Halford band on that Iron Maiden Queensryche tour.
That was a great tour. That was just a blast.
Yeah, it was a great tour, and there was this discussion that you know, the three of you singers, Jeff Tate and Bruce Dickinson and yourself, got along so well.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of challenged each other, you know, with your vocal stylings, I guess. That there was talk that you guys were going to do like almost like the Three Tenors, where you guys.
Yeah, it never quite left the launch pad, that idea. I mean, it's still a. I mean, I don't know whether it'll ever happen with me, Bruce, and Jeff. I mean, we're good friends, and you know, we've all got what we feel are really distinctive voices that are different to each other. And you know, that never really crossed my mind on that tour, because you did get those 3 singers, you know, from 3 different styles of metal. I suppose that was a pretty cool thing, you know, just looking back and reflecting on it. But we did talk about the possibility of doing that type of thing. I remember, because I'm a big fan of classical singers, and I remember seeing what the three tenors were doing. So I came up with this idea of the 3 tremors.
Yeah, right.
Earth-shaking things. And we did get together in London at one time years ago and talk about the possibility. But it was just, at that particular moment, it was just, trying to make it work because of the calendar. I mean, all of us are constantly busy, with things on the road. But that still never kind of left the back of my mind. And what I ended up doing is I registered and trademarked the Three Tremors as a name.
Wow.
So that I can at some point maybe delve into that possibility.
Sure.
Whether it's with Bruce and Jeff or some of my other friends in the business, I don't know yet. But I think it would be really cool, because you'd have one band. You wouldn't have three bands. You'd have one band of musicians that you all, think are doing the business. And then, each singer would go out and sing a song and walk off, and then another singer would come on, and you maybe do duets together. The three of you may sing a song together, and the possibilities are endless. And I just think it would be really spectacular, however that was presented. So that's still on my to-do list.
Right. Well, yeah. I got to tell you that something kind of funny here, Rob, since we have you on the line here. We do a lot of interviews here on the Classic Metal Show, and we've made a lot of friends with a lot of guys who have been in the business for a lot of years. And we've interviewed Michael Sweet from the band Stryper, and we've had Stephen Piercy of Rat.
Yeah.
And both of those guys insist that they are quote-unquote Rob Halford style screamers. That's what they both reference themselves as, because when we talk about vocal stylings, we ask, hey, who do you look up to, or who do you resonate with? And both Stephen Piercy and Michael Sweet insist that they've patterned themselves after you.
Well, that's a real compliment, and that's nice for the guys to say that. I think that singers, much like guitar players, drummers, bass players, we're all inspired by each other. We're all given some kind of buzz or a rush from seeing other musicians do what they do and getting a kick out of it. But that's really nice for those guys to say what they did.
Sure. Now, Rob, I've had this question in mind for, probably 5 years now, and just now I'm gonna go ahead and ask you it. Yeah. Now, before I do, I gotta kind of paint the picture, or else the question won't make sense. So if you could bear with me. Okay.
Well, it's been 5 years in the waiting, so you have to paint the picture.
Exactly. I actually interviewed you when you did the 2 record, and I'm sure you don't remember that. That was a zillion years ago. But when I interviewed you with 2, it was right after everything was going on with you. It was such a drastic change in direction, and obviously the whole thing with your sexuality came out as well at that particular time. And what you had told me at that point was that the way you referenced it was the whole episode, from the change in style, music, being public about your sexuality, etc., was all a bigger, it was all kind of a lifestyle shift for you, and it was kind of freeing yourself, as you put it, from your own little prison.
Yeah.
With that being said, I've always wondered, since you went back to Halford and you went back to doing a metal style record, and went back to metal from industrial, if after you made these changes, did you feel like something was still missing, or you had actually cut yourself off from a piece of your life that you maybe misinterpreted at that point?
Well, that's a really interesting question, but I think I'll premise it with the fact that I think when I made my coming out statement, it could have happened at any time. I mean, it just happened to kind of coincide what I was doing with 2. I mean, okay. It could have just as easily never have happened, or it could have just as easily at some point happened with Priest or with the Halford band or whatever. I think that, trying to look back at the MTV studio interview in New York City, I made that remark not a premeditated thing. I didn't think before I took the interview, well, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that, because I never do that. I never prepare for interviews. What you get coming out of my mouth is a conscious stream of thought. I think that's more interesting, you know, and it's more genuine and more real and more honest, which is the way that people know me to be. But as far as how that resonated, I mean, for me on a personal level, I mean, afterwards I reflected on what I'd said, and I didn't really consider, you know, it wasn't repercussions. It was just the way it flew around the world like a firestorm for a few days until it settled down. But I suppose, you know, having done what I did and reflecting on the feedback that I got, it was a very cathartic moment for me. It was definitely a release from having to hide and having to kind of, you know, react to innuendo and you know, snidey little remarks and, you know, comments behind your back, because all that vanishes in a puff of smoke, you know, and takes away the ammunition. There's a lot of baggage that goes with that, but it was a relief to let all of that just evaporate, you know, and great things came out of it. But I have to say, yeah, I mean, it just happened at that moment in time, and as I said, it could have just as easily happened at any other time again. I mean, the inference is that I had to put myself into that kind of music and have that particular style of look to have the courage to make that statement, which does take a tremendous amount of courage. I have nothing but praise for people that step forward and claim who they are. So there it was, you know. It's a bit of a mixed feelings about, you know, where the music was, what the look was, how I was feeling at the time, the music scene at the time. Lots of different issues, but that brings in a whole broad-based discussion about metal, you know, on a sexuality level, on a now more of an acceptance to, like, you know, females, girls going out into metal like Arch Enemy or Evanescence or Nightwish or Into Temptation. You know, Doro's been around for a long time, been at the forefront for that. A lot of issues that kind of are demystifying the perception of metal music. You know, because at the end of the day, metal is for absolutely everybody from all walks of life. You know, so that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
That was a really long answer, wasn't it? Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. You know, it took me 5 years to ask you the question. I guess we can give you a couple minutes to answer, right?
Well, I hope I cleared it up for you.
Absolutely. Well, Rob, I do want to comment outside of Fight and Halford and Priest on something that you worked on recently, and I want to thank you for giving me, you know, a minute and a half a week on an otherwise awful television show with that Talking Metal on Fuse. You know, your theme song, it's the one good moment of that show.
And then they had to drop it because there was some kind of legal issue with it.
Oh, really?
You know, I DVR'd. Did you see me on there the other week?
Yes.
I haven't watched that yet. I've DVR'd 3 episodes and haven't had a chance to look at it yet. But the one episode I saw before that, they were playing something else. So I don't know. There was some conflict that was never resolved, some legal stupid thing. But anyway, when it was on,
right,
Metal Mike put the whole thing together. And I jumped in the car from San Diego, where I'm hanging out these days, and flew up to Burbank to a little studio, and we banged it out in about 20 minutes, you know, and then sent it back to New York, and the guys put it in that show. It was a fun little riff tune. We could probably make a song out of that. I mean, there was only, less than 30 seconds of riffage in there. So you have to get a message across, being across the nation and whatever, and then talking metal. It was a pretty fast moment, but it was a fun thing. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, Rob, if you were to ever choose to do a song for the Classic Metal Show, believe me, there will be no lawsuits involved.
Okay. That's an invitation. All right, then.
Just remember, the Classic Metal Show. Just keep saying it, the Classic Metal Show.
And I just like the term classic metal because, you know,
it takes it all in.
It does. It totally does. And you know, as I move on in life, I cherish that expression more than ever, you know. And you've only got to put on VH1 Classic and see Metal Mania on every night down here in San Diego for like 5 hours a night, and see all of that great classic metal that's on display. So it's a good word, good phrase.
Right. Now, Rob, I'm curious, since you do watch Metal Mania on VH1, what do you think when you see the stuff with you with the mullet?
And the mustache.
And the mustache.
I think it's, you know, I smile. I mean, you know, one thing I learned many, many years ago is to be able to, you know, have a spinal tap moment. And if you can't do that, you've got something seriously wrong with you. I love satire. I think satire is one of the biggest compliments you can get, because it's only successful things that get satirized, you know, if that's the word. But you know, yeah, I'm pleased to look back at all of those different expressions visually on video, because it reinforces what we've done in Priest, for example, over the years, which is to really kind of do as much as we possibly can and explore all of the great possibilities in metal music, you know. So if you go on YouTube and put Judas Priest Japan 1976 or 75, you'll see Priest in a way that you've never seen Priest before, the way we were looking then, you know, and then all the way through from our first ever video that we made to the last visual display on the Rising in the East DVD. You know, it's good, it's interesting. We hate repetition in Judas Priest, and that's what I am pretty much in whatever I do musically. You know, keep it fresh, keep it interesting.
Absolutely. Now, Rob, just a real quick one. One of mine and Neely's good friends is Tim Ripper Owens, and from everything that I've read, you know, you have been nothing but cordial and certainly respected his time in Priest and him as a person and a singer. What I'm curious about is, you know, if you would ever consider, you know, in a show just throwing in like Bloodstained or something from that era, and you know, you doing it and putting your own spin on it. Yeah.
Well, why not? It's a Priest song. Jugulator and Demolition are part of the Priest catalogue. And, you know, I made that clear to Ken and Glenn and Ian and Scott, you know, that we should look at everything when we put together this new set list, that we're about to start the tour in Finland in the second week of June, I think it is. And I think we'll be in the States sometime in middle end of July for a month or so. Anything, you know, why not? Just because Ripper was doing his great work at that time, it's still a Priest song. So I think that would be cool to do, actually. So I guess we'll look at that. Yeah, I'll be going back to the UK in a few weeks to get ready to start prepping the Monster Priest tour. So anything's possible.
Well, Rob, is there anything you can tell us about this Judas Priest Heaven and Hell and Motorhead tour at all? Is there anything you can tell us about that? I
can only tell you that suddenly I got a flood of emails. Have you checked Blabbermouth? I'm like, no. Go onto Blabbermouth right now. And I did. You know, Blabbermouth is the TMZ of the internet. And I saw it. Live Nation are promoting the tour, and I guess the professional way of dealing with this is to say that Live Nation will be making an official announcement in probably in a few days from now. But it's difficult to keep that kind of thing quiet, because if it does happen, and it's looking very real, it's going to be one of the biggest metal shows in the States this year.
This year? How about ever, Rob? Jeez, you guys and Black Sabbath? Wow.
Well, it's not. Well, I see what you're saying. It's heaven and hell, but I mean, I know what you're saying. You know.
Sure.
Yeah, it is reminiscent of that Ozfest when you had Priest and Sabbath and Slayer all on the same bill. But if it happens, it's going to be great. You know, Motorhead, Priest, Heaven and Hell. That's a killer metal show.
I think Testament is supposed to be on that bill too.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing as well. I mean, everything. You know, there's tons of emails flying back and forth, and you just have to. You have to wait for the official announcement because it has to be sanctioned by management and the lawyers in the suits and all that other rubbish. But if we get what we're hoping to get, I think it's going to be an absolutely sensational killer American tour because it won't happen anywhere else in the world. This lineup, it'll just be for the States.
You're absolutely right, Rob. Well, Rob, we've dominated your time. We always appreciate you taking a little bit of time to talk to us. And now,
well, thank you. Thank you, Neely and Chris. Yeah.
Now it's time for plug time. Where can people find out about Rob Halford and the release of your Fight CDs as well as your Metal God boxes and all that kind of good stuff?
It's really simple, robhalford.com. We've got a wonderful website that's, you know, just leading what I do in my solo activities. But it's still, as I've always said, it's for everybody in the metal community because we've got all these different subdivisions in the website where, you know, if you're looking to put a band together, you can, you know, look for guitar players, singers, whatever you want. You can hook up that way. We've got live chat rooms. We've got the, you know, you can do anything on there within reason.
Sure.
But it's a wonderful website, and we update it at least once a year because, again, that's me and my attention deficit thing. I like to keep it fresh and keep people coming back. But it's a really, really popular metal website. So all the news is at robhalford.com.
Excellent, Rob. Well, we always appreciate having the opportunity to speak with you, and you're always a welcome guest here, and you're welcome back anytime. But
well, come and see us when we play up in your neck of the woods.
Well, believe me, we'll be there.
Yeah, we're going to. I would imagine we'll be putting the dates up pretty soon, and that'll be at judaspriest.com.
Excellent.
So come and see us at the show, and bring your machines, and we'll chat together backstage.
Cool.
Excellent. All right, fellas.
I'll consider that a personal invite.
Yes, you can.
All right, Rob.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Neely. Thank you, metalheads out there. We'll see you guys soon on tour.
All right, Rob. Well, as a tradition, we always let the artist pick a closing song. So what should we play to take us out of the interview? Oh, well, I have to be selfish and ask you to play the title track of the name of the new Fight box set that's coming out. So this is Fight and Into the Pit. All right. Well, go over to robhalford.com and go pick up this newly re-released stuff, right? Right, Rob? Yeah. The fresh stuff on there is Mutations that went out of print for a number of years, so that'll be fresh for some people that have never heard it before. Sure. And that incredible DVD piece of that live club date that Fight did, one of the first ever shows we did, so that's a bit of history there. So it's pretty fresh, yeah. Check it out. Excellent. Well, here it is. This is Rob Halford with Fight, and this is Into the Pit exclusively here on your Classic Metal Show. Thanks for checking out the best of the Classic Metal Show. You can tune into the Classic Metal Show live every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern, exclusively at www.theclassic